very emotional week. A lot happened during the weekend. A video went round, and there were so many reactions and emotions as well, and also so many theories to try and explain what is happening. So today on Connect Live, because we always tell you that Auto Connect is the only car channel that will guarantee you an alluring motor vehicle experience, we are going to try and explain the terminologies that were used on this video. Some of these terminologies being RON, random octane number, pump octane number, plus also so many other properties that are associated with petrol. And we're also going to give you a chance to ask the hard questions on the comments section. So we're going to sample the ones that we can. And the good thing is that we are joined by a person whose profession is one of which most of you admired when they were in high school, but unfortunately or fortunately, they are not in that profession. We are joined by Peter Langat, who is an analytical chemist. Unajua kuna wase walikuwa wanafanya 3 sciences high school. Walikuwa wanasema, "Oh, I want to be an analytical chemist." Well, today is the first time I'm actually meeting an analytical chemist in person. So it's a big deal as well. So welcome guys, and without further ado, before we get into the fuel matters or into the chemistry matters, especially chemistry of fuel, I would like to remind you guys that we are filming from Grande Motor Imports hapa kwa Tom, and just to remind you, Grande has a warranty for hybrid cars. So in case you're buying any hybrid Toyota, you're going to get a 16-month warranty, and you see that's like 1 year 4 months. You don't have to worry about the hybrid unit going bad. So you have quality assured. And now, talking about quality, I would like to start off this episode on a very technical note. So with the video going around, we had some terms such as RON, we had some terms such as PON, and with many car owners, actually, so many car owners in Kenya actually do not know the meanings of these acronyms. And unfortunately, most people were giving blanket reactions without, first of all, having to understand some of these things. And before we get to the core matter of this, we are going to start by understanding these things. So we're going to give a chance to Bwana Peter. Karibu sana Auto Connect.
Thank you.
At least
I'm glad to be here.
we have taken down the whiteboard. Sababu
Yes.
anaweza anza kuandika chemical reactions. And we do not want that today.
Yeah.
So, Bwana Peter, one question.
Yeah.
I think before we talk about fuel additives,
Yes.
research octane number, pump octane number, I think we need to start by explaining what do these things mean, or what is a research octane number, and what does it do, and what advantage does it have if you have a fuel that has a higher RON or a lower RON? Yeah.
So, once again, thank you for having me today. When you talk about research octane number, actually RON is research octane number. It's a refinery property for gasoline. And so I want to insist it's a refinery property. It's not something we modify after. And this is just a measure of, if I'm talking to you in technical term, it's just a measure of how much the resistance to knock, how much a fuel can be compressed, that fuel compression ratio. The higher it is, the better the output that you get. So basically, it's a measure of resistance to knock for the fuel. And why is it important? The higher that compression ratio that the fuel can accommodate, the more the output, the more the power you get out of that combustion of that unit of gasoline. And we're talking about specifically, this is a property for gasoline. Gasoline is petrol. Yes, when you hear gas, oil is diesel, and these are terms for other places. And I'm saying that because under gasoline, you'll have now the normal petrol, what we call RON 93. And then you'll have RON 95, and in other markets and other countries there is RON 98 and above. So this is a specific property to gasoline, which is petrol. Petrol can be the normal gasoline or V-Power for Shell.
Okay.
Yes.
So now there's something I was just writing down,
Yes.
and it would be very good if we would explain it to people. One of thing there are some few additional points I had, and I was really hoping that you would answer them.
Okay.
Well, what would a fuel? These days we are having cars that have very high compression ratios.
Correct.
We are looking at Volkswagens, we are looking at modern Subarus, and we're also looking at most German cars
Yes.
and other European cars like Volvos. What would happen if you would fuel? Because these cars have a manufacturer recommended RON,
Yes.
and
Yes.
most of the time you will get it when you open the fuel cap on the inside part of it, or somewhere on the engine bay, the recommended RON for
Yes.
the fuel that's going to be used. So supposing you have a high compression engine, the RON requirement is say 95, and then you put in around 87 in that vehicle, what will happen? Because I think that's now we need to start getting closer home. What
Yes.
would happen if you put in RON 87 in a RON 95 recommended vehicle?
So basically, since we've said it's a measure of resistance to knock, that means the lower you come in terms of RON, the easier it is to knock. Okay, so even so the higher you go, the lesser that chance of knocking. So to answer you, when you have a machine or an engine that is designed for high octane rating, and then you are putting it a lower octane rating, it will not, first of all, it will not perform the output, because those are not the technical specifications specific to that engine. The other thing is, you will be now the knocking effect,
Yes.
and that one will not give you performance. Number one, now you are destroying this equipment. And then again, the combustion of that fuel will not be as efficient as it should be. So you will not be burning that fuel the way it should be. So you start having issues again of emissions and all that, incomplete combustion of the fuel. Yes, but the key thing about using a RON that is lower than the recommended is the knock.
Okay.
Yes.
So from what you have described, if supposing I fuel a vehicle that is recommended RON 95 and I just do a RON 87, that means that I'll have to feel the effects immediately.
Immediately. You will feel it immediately. And the current cars, the modern cars, are highly electronic. They will pick it up immediately. And also the emissions control unit will signal something is not okay with this fuel, because I'm supposed to have burnt this, but I'm feeling in terms of emissions it's bringing out more than it should. So the engine itself will just automatically show that this is not the fuel. And then now in terms of emissions control, you'll just see that error coming up, and this is not the fuel.
Okay. So with that, now let's head over to the other side.
Yes.
We have cars that have a lower RON requirement,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So inamaanisha wasi kama wa Probox, Belta, filter ya mataa kwa boot. Is there need for them to fuel using high octane? Should they have a reason to complain if so they are getting the standard RON?
So when you talk about these cars, you are talking about the engine technology that it is using. Kutoka zile za carburetor kitambo, coming all the way to akina EFIs, coming all the way. So what modern engine is looking at basically right now is compression. Okay, yes. Compression ratio for fuel. And this one you can only achieve the higher the octane that is in the fuel. You achieve higher compression. You can compress more gives you more output.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's take this now to a different direction.
Yes.
I hope, by the way, I hope you guys have understood what Bwana Peter has said. And remember, we are taking questions live, so you can ask any question on the comment section. And before we head on, naona kuna watu wanaongea sana. Collins, karibu sana. Collins is watching from Syokimau. Frederick Ngatunyi, Eric Wambua, Identity Rides. Actually, Eric is saying, been unfortunate to miss every life, but leo niko ndani, nikiwa job bado. We have Dennis Katali, who is asking a very interesting question. Do you mean using Octane boosters is just a game of hope? You know, we are going to talk about that. And then we have Alex Mathu, who says he's a new subscriber. Karibu sana, Alex. Now, let's talk about what he has brought up, and that is the issue of Octane boosters. And you know, everything has a dosage, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And vehicles have different tank capacities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if somebody recommends an Octane booster, because also this is a problem that people might experience. So if somebody recommends an Octane booster, assuming my car has a 70-liter tank,
Yeah. Yeah.
another car has a 40-liter tank, yeah, and other cars have 50 or even bigger. So what ratio should you actually mix an Octane booster? Because if we try to think about it logically, it means that somebody with a 40-liter tank might use 1 can of Octane booster, and it might serve them.
Yeah.
But if I use it in my 70-liter tank,
Yes.
it might not be work perfectly, because I think, should there be like a dosage? Sababu hata dawa ukikunywa kuna dose.
Something about these boosters and these, can I call it, products that are added onto the tank directly. Yes. What are you trying to achieve? Number one, what is this additive chemically? Okay, because I can sell you something and tell you it's an Octane booster, but it's something else. So now, number one, there are chemicals that can increase chemically the octane, like isooctane and things like that, which has got a RON of about 100 and above. So some people may create a formulation that would try to mimic the actual hydrocarbon composition of the gasoline and just bring it up. But those are subject to scientific tests. And number two, the concentration. If my tank, as you say, is 50 liters, how much should I put? So what is the concentration of that additive or that booster? And again, what do I want to achieve? Because when we talk about these additives, is it to clean up the engine, then in turn it burns fuel better and gives you better performance? Is it to increase now that output of energy, like when you burn a unit of the fuel, it gives you more energy? What exactly is this? Is it to increase lubrication? Is it a detergent? What is this additive? So every manufacturer of an additive for fuel will have prescribed this will help you with this and this and this, and put it on a full tank of this and that. The instructions will be there, because engine sizes, tank sizes vary.
Yes.
Yes.
So now with that, now tukae tu hapa kwa Octane booster. Naona kuna wase wanauliza maswali, but I want us to just remain there.
Okay.
So if I saw someone testing fuel, we're going to get there.
Okay.
The Octane rating. But don't you think that even if I were to use an Octane booster, you would need somebody to actually test it
and see that it is shot up or something?
Yes, because if somebody tells me that fuel X is not at par, so what you do, the recommendation is use an Octane booster. So how will the consumer know that? Because so many people are selling Octane boosters out here.
There
right?
are so many, I know.
How can we be able to tell that these Octane boosters actually work?
I think when it comes to Octane boosters, the user of the car will know that response is better. And either way, I'm not in a way trying to advocate for octane boosting, because that now is subject to the original equipment manufacturer specifications. There is a manufacturer will tell you, put in this substance or this formulation to do ABCD for your car. You know, maybe to remove deposits, to do this and that. So octane boosters, in my view, will not necessarily be the same. It will not bring up all the properties like an original refinery process, whereby you can now grade the fuels in a refinery process and get this is this, this is this, you know, the way it just comes out of the refinery.
There's somebody on the comment section
Yeah.
who is called, naona naitwa Badeste, anasema boosters hununuliwa na vienyeji. I don't know.
Personally, I don't advocate for any because I've never used. So
Yes. So there's a very interesting question here from a guy called Rick Mwangi.
yes.
Rick Mwangi is asking, he's a new subscriber and he would wish to ask, between ordinary petrol and V-Power, which one is better in terms of octane level? So he's taking us to a direction that we are going to head later in this discussion.
Okay.
But maybe let me answer now a few car-related questions. Byron Mark, Eric, I'm stuck between a 2015 Mazda Atenza and a Mark X Nissan Skyline, all 2.5. Which one would be the better buy for a person who is looking for looks, fuel economy, aggressive driving is your priority? So if you're looking for looks, definitely a Mazda Atenza will do you justice. But I don't know why somebody would be looking for fuel economy from a 2.5 liter. not unless it's hybrid. Not unless it's hybrid. But anyway, it makes sense because you find some 2.5 liters actually have better fuel economy compared to the others. But in this case, you'll notice some 2.5 liters here, like on the Mark X and the Skyline 2.5, are actually V6s. And before anybody rushes to the comments, I'm not talking about the Skyline 200 GTT. I'm talking about the one with the VQ25 engine. So if you're looking at even the engine design, the Atenza has only 4 cylinders. The others have 6 cylinders. So there'll be an obvious damage when it comes to fuel economy when you have more cylinders. However, that is also subject to discussion because of something we call low end torque. Sometimes you might need more acceleration for one vehicle as compared to the other. But generally, if you're looking for fuel economy, well, the Mazda Atenza might give you a little bit of that compared to these other vehicles. So it seems from what you're looking at, a Mazda Atenza would actually make more sense. Now, the other question somebody is asking is about race fuel. What is race fuel? And that question is from Patrick Wawero. He's asking about race fuel. What is race fuel?
Race fuel is normally high octane fuels.
Yes.
That are just designed for these high performance engines like Safari rallies and the rest.
Yes.
Okay. But I don't know what they mean by race fuels, but I would want to imagine he is talking about the fuels that you put in this very, very high performance engines like Safari rallies and the rest.
Yes.
So again, that one of the properties that you'll find in there is RON.
Yes.
Because those are designed to use RON up to 100 and above.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very high.
Now, let's get now to the elephant in the room. I'm calling it elephant.
There is one.
there is one,
Okay.
because there are a couple of questions that we might not be able to. Okay. Car questions in a minute. So let's first of all tuende kwa hii maneno ingine yenye iko a bit, at least a bit more potent. So recently we were talking about RON and PON. PON. Don't get me wrong, I'm talking about PON. pump
octane
octane number. So,
Yes.
what is pump octane number and how different is it from now RON?
Pump octane number is a unit of measure that is common in other markets that are more advanced.
Yes.
And pump octane number is basically an average of research octane number and motor octane number. And in other places, you would hear it being called AKI, anti-knock index. So it's just a measure of the two, and an average of RON and MON. It gives you where that fuel is standing, in terms of anti-knock index.
Yes.
Basically that. So it's different from RON. It's not RON. It's something totally different. And even in Kenya, our pumps don't indicate PON at all. I understand in the Western world, it's indicated in the pump so that you know.
Okay.
And basically, it's just a measure of anti-knock index.
Now, very good. That's a very, and because now it's taking us home. There was an article that was published by one of the blogs that is called newstrend.co.ke.
Okay.
And there was something they talked about what happened recently about Shell V Power and all that. And they had the article, by the way, was very well written.
Okay.
And one of the things they asked, at the end of the article, they had tried to ask a few questions.
Yeah.
And one of the question is, which standard is being applied to Shell V Power in Kenya, RON or PON? So that was one of the questions that were asked in this blog.
Okay.
And this was because of the fuel tests that were done to V Power, and there was a lot of noise online. And so their question was, could it be that what the dealer or the franchise holder is giving is a PON number other than an RON number? And I believe that's something that you can actually explain in a better way.
Okay. Gasoline in Kenya, and by gasoline I mean petrol. Petrol is either RON 95 that is available or RON 93. Is graded according to RON. Let's start there. And the minimum RON allowed legally in our country, Kenya, is 93. So even by just somebody mentioning that I found 89, I found 91, I found what, that's already pointing towards that it's substandard already, because the East African standard prescribes that the RON for petrol in Kenya is 93 and above. So the higher you go up there, the better. Now, to answer your question, the measure is RON, it's not PON. The measure that we use to grade these fuels, petrol, is RON. It's not PON in Kenya. Yes, directly what is being asked there.
Okay. Now, that is taking us closer home.
Yeah.
And it's taking us to another discussion here. How is, okay, there has been people have had, so many discussions about who is importing which fuel.
Okay.
People, asking, are there any, because the regulator is EPRA and KEBS, right? So when we talk about there being a minimum RON of 93
Yes.
for the fuel accepted into
in
Kenya.
Okay, let's say East Africa.
East Africa. So what are the import protocols that we have to help actually Kenyans understand how fuel comes into the country and how maybe it's distributed to different dealers?
Okay. In a very easy way, fuel is imported in Kenya usually through what is called the OTS, Open Tender System, whereby oil marketers come, and then through a procedure that is there, it is decided it's marketer X who will import for us for this duration. For the next 6 weeks, it is you, marketer X. So you import on behalf. The fuel gets to Mombasa, it goes into the Kenya pipeline system. Then now, from that Kenya pipeline system, you now start picking your portion as marketer Y, marketer X, marketer whatever. You pick your portion in that pool. Now, what is the work of Kenya Pipeline? Kenya Pipeline is just to move this fuel from Mombasa into the inland markets or inland areas. For example, pumping it from the port. There is a terminal at the port where the fuel is received from the vessel into that port, pumping it up into Nairobi. When it gets to Nairobi, you have loading depots. So now Kenya Pipeline will now give you your portion into your depot, into your depot, into your depot. So that inside your depot, you now start selling. So you will not say this molecule of petrol is mine. It came for me from refinery. It is just the volume that you will claim out of that system. So that's why you have fuel being loaded out. I can have fuel as a marketer X, and I'm loading it out of Kenya Pipeline, Nakuru, or Kisumu, or Eldoret. It's a volume I'm picking. What am I trying to say? That means that fuel or that petrol is the same for everybody. I'm just picking a volume out of what I have in that pool of Kenya Pipeline. So they are all the same. So whatever we will be loaded out, same. It doesn't have to be this is my molecule, this is your molecule. No, I'm just coming to pick gasoline, which is petrol. I'm just coming to pick it and go. Likewise to diesel. What makes raw 95 fuel, which is V-Power, unique in this case? It cannot go through that system because it is unique. It's a premium fuel specifically for Shell only. So Vivo Energy Kenya, which now runs under the brand of Shell, imports this fuel, which is RON 95, directly on its own vessel. When it gets to Mombasa, it goes into its depot specifically. It does not mix into anybody's fuel. And then from there, it does not go into Kenya pipeline system to get to Nairobi. It goes through either wagons or road transport all the way to Nairobi. When it gets to Nairobi, it's distributed specifically through specific trucks to the station. That is now a work of specifically Vivo Energy Kenya alone. Okay? Now, so that now kind of sets it apart when you talk about this is RON this and this is RON this. There is nowhere this RON 93 and the RON 95 petrol or gasoline will mix or meet at all. And so that's why when we say RON 95 for V-Power is a refinery property, it means from refinery to your tank at the station, ilikuja na njia yake. It came with its own route alone. It did not mix with anything. What only happens is that there are some additives that are put in there to boost performance. Okay? Additives that includes detergents, improving combustion, lubricity. You know, the additive is a formulation. So on top of the RON, there is also additive. And that is what differentiates the fuel again, so that you have now the brand that you can hear we are calling it Shell V-Power, Shell Fuel Safe Unleaded, is because of that differentiation that we've done. Okay. The RON aspect and the additive aspect, mix it together, you have very good results. Excellent.
Okay. Now we have talked about that and what really differentiates it. What if today I come in as maybe Wakabi Energies and I want to have my own, say, higher on fuel? Is there a provision that I can also do that?
Yes. As long as the legal requirement is, the legal requirement is as long as it doesn't come below 93. It's open for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now talking about, because we are going deeper into this conversation.
Yeah.
Let's go deeper. And now, if you want to really identify that these are RON 93 fuel, these are RON 95 fuel, how do you test it? Because there was also a heated debate that I would see, especially on X, about people giving different views on testing samples.
Yes.
And I believe these are very important bit, because there are people who are claiming that yes, these are the accurate results. There was also another group of people saying that, these results, these were not the right results because the samples were not done A, B, C, D. So as an analytical chemist, what do you think is the proper way if I want to really verify that my car has been fueled using RON 93? or has been fueled using RON 95, or the fuel, or even my fuel has been adulterated. So what is, let's start with RON. What is the proper way of so that we can clear the air on what people are saying and what is out there in the interwebs? From a, I want you to give us a very technical perspective on how do you actually test
RON.
the RON. Yes.
Okay. First of all, when you talk about testing, it is a scientific process. Test is a scientific process. Scientific process needs to have a scientific backing, number one. The other thing is there will be a method that will have been approved, and that also has data and a way of validating the method. It's not a method that I decide now, let me do this and this and this, and then I call it, okay, this is how I do it, and then you accept. It has to be universally approved and validated method of testing. So that is why when it comes to RON, the method that has been prescribed in the ASTM is 2699. ASTM 2699. That is a method that is, and there are several ways of testing RON in a laboratory. Okay, the main one and the basic one, the key one is what we call a CFR engine. Okay, CFR is just basically how do I put it? It's a cooperative fuel research engine.
Haya, kidogo tu toeni notebook, andika hapo, andika hapo. Please, hebu rudia, nimesema ya kwanza ni
Okay, the main one is a CFR engine method.
Yes.
What is a CFR? It's just, let me put it in a simple way. It's like umesplit hiyo engine ya gari kwa na piston moja enye una inject, check compression and measuring that compression. That is why we call it a cooperative fuel research engine.
Yes.
So what does it do? It just measures the way engine ingefanya. Ikicompress hivi, you know. Now, so that is the key method, but it's a very expensive method. Okay, even just installing that equipment. And then now there are other methods also that are approved that are mainly, FTIR, mid-FTIR methods, whereby you use a CFR engine results, create a database so that you come and scan now your fuel with the mid-infrared, get a scan, mirror it against zile results ulikuwa umepata za CFR mingi, and then it gives you pointers, and it can calculate for you specifically what the RON is. Okay, so basically those are the two methods that are scientifically proven to give you RON. Okay, any other method, not here, not there, because it can be questioned and it cannot stand a scientific argument.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and viewers, nataka kuwa, I want to be very discreet because we are talking about real things that are happening. So there was a video, the video I was telling you about that has been making rounds.
Okay.
And part of the bone of contention was the tool used. I believe it's a pocket octane tester. It's called
Portable.
Octis, portable. Yeah, it's a portable. Yeah, portable pocket.
Pocket is
Pocket ni hapa.
Yeah.
But inaweza toshea kwa mfuko. I'm hoping inaweza toshea.
I don't know how I've never held it with my hands. Yeah.
Yes. So now there was that issue of and it being generic.
Okay.
The fact that there is no reputable company that has backed its use, and it's okay. Being generic and not okay. Even the methodology of testing, there are quite a number of people actually questioned it.
Yeah.
And now from your own technical perspective, maybe I know as an analytical chemist, you know how these things work.
Okay.
So how does now that you have told us about these two major ways, one you've talked about the engine, which is quite expensive, and there is also the infrared way of the infrared method of testing RON. So if we try get to this the third method that is quite informal,
Mhm.
How does it work?
Mm, okay, so that this equipment, basically, what I would sorry, what I would really say about that equipment is what kind of scientific method is it using? And by method, I mean in science, and when we are doing analysis, you can either be saying, I'm using absorption, I'm using transmittance, I'm using concentration, I'm using molarity, you know. So what is this equipment measuring in the fuel? One of the parameters that it is measuring and using to deduce, and I'm using the word deduce, to deduce whatever result it's giving, is conductivity. Okay? Conductivity of fuel is not standard. It can be affected even by anything, even by a container like this, as in it can be affected by so many things. But the key thing is this equipment is designed for what we call base fuel. Base fuel is pure fuel that has not been added anything or an additive or anything, because there are so many types of additives in the market, some even including some to control to regulate conductivity. Now, this equipment is designed to measure fuel or substance, because I apparently it can also do ethanol, okay, that have no additive. So now the moment you introduce anything into the fuel, you blend the fuel with anything, already you are distorting the accuracy of that equipment. It will not be the way it was designed to work. So when I come here and then I just insert something and then I give you a figure, before we get to the equipment, what type of sample is this that I've taken? Is it having some additives? Is it having some agents? Is it having some anything inside? That would make this equipment inaccurate. Now, and again, an equipment that does not give you, it gives you now you get this figure, now add this and this to get this. On what basis? You should tell me what is this I'm adding to get what. So this figure that I got it first, what is it? So why do I have to add this? You should tell me I add this because it's a constant, and this constant is ABCD is derived from this formula. What is this I'm adding? So there are so many ways. And then again, as I had said earlier, everything that is in our world of doing analysis, it has to be backed by a method that is validated and approved, and it is reproducible. It means if I give you this procedure and you are in India, you will do it and get similar results like me. So those are some of the things we need to look at when we look at people holding gadgets in the field and doing things. Okay.
Now, that is a good explanation, and I would like to come here to our chat section. There is a very good question that I actually saw here. Somebody by the name Isaiah Njagi. His question is: does EPRA or KEBS routinely test run in petrol stations? At what point after bulk purchase from Kenya Pipeline is a dealer allowed to put additives?
Yes, you are right. EPRA does testing of all stations in the market for regulatory issues, and one of them is quality. So you will find that at any station, whether whoever the brand or the company, it's a responsibility of EPRA to regulate the activities there, including pricing, as you know, including now quality, which we are now talking about. And when they come to the station, they pick sample. First, they check, is there adulteration with kerosene? Is there water in your tanks? Is the sample good? And if they, and now that means whatever you are selling to the public, is it of good quality? It's their responsibility to do that. Okay. So yeah, that is where they come in. At the point of, when you import fuel into the country, it has to meet the specs that have been outlined in the East African Standard. And now when it is in the market being consumed by consumers, it is their work to regulate and make sure that the quality is okay. So it's the work of the regulator.
Okay. And we have quite a good number of people who are watching.
Okay.
And this might be the question, or the question I'll throw to you. Now, having our regulatory bodies like KEBS and EPRA.
Mm.
So if I, as Wakabi or Tom or Andy, wanted to take a fuel sample
Mhm.
from a station of his choice
Yes.
to EPRA
Mhm.
or KEBS,
Mhm.
would KEBS or EPRA accept samples from the general public?
Mhm. Relating to a complaint or just random, like I just want to be sure?
No, I just want to be sure.
Okay, yes, of course, there are commercial testing laboratories that can that you can just pick a sample, bring it to them and tell them, please confirm for me if this is of good quality. They will test for you. There are several commercial laboratories, even including KEPS, they have a laboratory, even including ourselves, we have a laboratory that can test. Yes, so it's possible. You as a member of public can just go to your station of choice where you fuel, get some fuel in an appropriate container, bring it to that laboratory, test, you pay some little money because that's an own initiative, and then they test for you and give you results. Many people do that, especially car importers like you. For example, you may have a client who tells you, import for me this car that I know it is in US or UK or the Middle East. So you tell that client in Kenya, be sure that the best RON you'll get is 95. Are you sure that car will get the right fuel in Kenya? That's the discussion you have. So you can say, okay, let me pick a fuel, send it to Lab X so that you have a report to give to your client that this is the fuel you have in Kenya. Are you still okay? I bring you your car, you know? And I think, and I'm sorry I'm deviating. I think I've seen this also when people are importing vehicles. You import a vehicle without taking into consideration the specific fuel it should use. Gets to Kenya, you start saying, oh, station X is spoiling my engine. And then when we come and look, we don't have the fuel for that car in this country. It can be a Euro 4, it can be anything that we don't have in a Kenyan market. But you imported it in a country which has got higher grades of fuel. So it's important. Sorry, I've digressed a bit.
Actually, it was a very good point of to mention.
Yeah.
And now, maybe if it would be okay with you,
Yeah.
and to the guys watching, by the way, I feel that we can do a small challenge. I think it has been very tumesikiza story mingi sana za mafuta, and now that there are labs that can actually take samples commercially,
Yes.
maybe we can ask a few guys to go and actually take samples from stations of their choice and send them to a lab,
Yes.
because we might be, you know, we might be in for surprises.
Correct.
Yeah. So actually, as a viewer, and take this from us, you can actually go take a sample from a fuel station, and remember, plastic jerry cans are not allowed.
Yes, for mainly safety reasons.
Yes.
Number two, some types of plastic will start degrading some little properties in the fuel here and there.
Okay.
Yes, but safety reasons means, a plastic has got electrostatic, can hold electrostatic charges.
Yes.
You remember the way when we were young, you do like this, and
When
then
you
you put
place-
it picks it up.
Yes.
So that means when my jerrycan is in the car and I'm going to the station, it's knocking against my seat, my what. And then when it gets there, it's so little electrostatic charges. When you put petrol that is highly flammable, very easily it can cause fire.
Okay.
It's proven scientifically and in practice.
So umesikia kwa nini mnaambiwa msibebe
Mafuta
na-
ya petroli haifai kubebwa na plastic
na-
for safety reasons specifically.
unajua wakienda kwa petrol station waambie aende atafute ya mabati, watu wana jam,
Yes,
wanasema mtaki kutuuzia.
it's for safety reasons.
And you've talked about also degradation. Tell us, talk to us about petrol degradation. How long does it take maybe for petrol to lose its original properties?
Petrol, in terms of when something degrades, it means it's original chemical composition is being affected by something in a way. Like kitu ikikaa kwa jua inaanza kuharibika, while there is nowhere you will find fuel in the open, like in the sun, like this, like a dam. The way we store fuel in our depots, we don't store them in an open thing like this so that it's evaporating. Properties of fuel require us to handle it in a way that is in a space that's sort of confined. Ni kama umeifungilia. Now, there is the type of tanks that we use, the kind of material, the kind of handling systems. We'll make sure that the fuel is not exposed to the external factors as much as possible, because first of all, it's a flammable substance. You know, ukiacha mafuta hivi, it will evaporate. By the end of the day, you've lost half of it.
Okay. Now, I know by the way, we started at 8:15, so we are going to have some extra, tutakuwa na additional time kwa wase wa ball. Tunakaa kutakuwa na extra goals. There's a guy by the name Paul Kimani who is asking a very interesting question here.
Yeah.
And Paul asks, I have been using V-Power and spark plugs form brick red color due to high octane levels, unlike times I used regular fuel.
Mhm.
Could this be an indicator of RON?
No, RON on its own. When you talk about RON, you're talking about the structural composition of the fuel. You're not talking about the substance bit of it. So RON is not something you'll say, nimechoma hii mafuta ikawacha hii kitu because of RON. Okay? What normally makes plugs to have those deposits is incomplete combustion of something, or something burns and leaves its soot, ashes or something, let me put it like that, in that plug area. If it is red, which color of red? You know, in when you talk about red and you're talking about something like a plug, it can range from something that is iron related, ferro something, to manganese. That range usually tend to portray the color reddish, from orangish to reddish. So when you say that is showing that kind of a deposit, trust me, it's not related to RON at all. It's related to something in the fuel that was not completely burnt completely, so inaacha soot, or something that ukisha choma inaacha just deposits. Yeah.
And actually, if Paul has a good mechanic,
Yeah.
once the spark plugs have that brick red color, it actually tells you that your engine is very healthy. If they have that the other color, naongea ni kusema gari haichomi poa.
Sometimes it's also black.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes inakuwa na soot that is black, sometimes iko na something that seems to be sticky. All of that all of that is about something in the fuel that during that process of combustion in the plugs, it leaves something. So it's about something in the fuel.
And I think the fact that it's brick red actually says there is at least good combustion at some point.
Yeah.
When he uses fuel X, and bad combustion when he uses fuel W.
Okay, one of the things about V-Power is that it has got cleaning agents. It has got some detergents. And that one is now part of what is in the formulation that makes it to be that V-Power, specifically Shell V-Power. Umewahi sikia watu wakisema nitaweka V-Power ioshe. It's a very common thing. It's not coming out of nowhere. There is some detergency. If combustion is improved, meaning mafuta inachomwa yote, it will not leave any soots because of combustion has been improved. And now that detergency, kuosha tu.
Nice. At least today we are getting very good explanations. Allow me to take some car questions. We have let me see. Nani anauliza swali la magari hapa? Kim P anauliza, Eric, I'm stuck between an Audi A3, BMW 120i and an A200 as my first car. Advice on which I would get. Naongea kuhusu speed thrill. So Kim, all these cars, more or less, they are within the same performance range. But let's talk about each car now. If you're getting the BMW 120i, BMW, you know what they say about BMW's sheer driving pleasure. And one thing about Beamers is that when it comes to driving experience, that is where they really shine. But if we bring in the reliability aspect, I think the A3 might make much more sense because it's from VAG, and I always say any VAG car in the Kenyan market right now. Like VWs and Audis are like the Toyotas of European vehicles. There is so much technical support around, and each and every day we get mechanics getting trained to handle vehicles in the VAG family. So you might not have so much problems buying an Audi A3. The A200 still fairly new in the Kenyan market, so they are, it's bound to have some hitches. Now, when it comes to BMWs and reliability, don't take it from me, but we don't have so many BMW technicians, like good Beamer technicians, and also parts might be a little bit of a challenge, especially if it's your first car. So to be on the safe side, both in terms of parts, technical support, and also the thrill of performance, I think the Audi A3 would do you good. Now let us see who else. Okay, let us see anybody else who is asking a car question. Maswali ziko wapi leo? Leo wase wamesikiza sana. Any other car question? Any other car question? Daniel Ochola, show iko poa sana. Which car would you think is a good choice for locally used vehicles under 1 million? Hapa kuna gari mingi sana. So be specific. What are you looking for? SUV, crossover SUV, hatchback, or a station wagon? Now, Eric Eric Wambua is asking a very important question. Talk about octane rating in diesel fuel. Is there anything such as diesel V power?
Now, octane rating is a property for gasoline.
Yes.
Yes. When you come to diesel, you'll be talking about other things like cetane index.
Yes.
Yeah. As in a different separate parameter for measuring its performance. So, but octane is basically focusing on the structural composition of gasoline.
Okay.
Gasoline, and as we said, is petrol. Petrol can be V power, normal unleaded.
And with the increase of diesel passenger cars in the Kenyan market space today, do you think there'll come a time where when you're going to have premium diesel in Kenya?
I'm sure marketers are working on something because even you as a car person, you know you will be importing newer technologies into the country.
Yes.
So I'm very sure oil marketers are gearing towards meeting that requirement of new technology in the markets. So all I would tell people is watch that space.
Okay. Especially with Euro 6.
Yes.
Yeah. Sawa sawa. So let me see any other person. Okay. So somebody is asking, where does the challenge start on random sampling for us to take part?
When does the challenge start?
Yes, for them to start random sampling. I think that they can do that anytime, any day,
Anytime.
anytime.
I mean, if you are using a product and at some point you are questioning its integrity or quality, you're free at any time to pick and say, hii kitu sifurahi. I would like to, I would like to verify that it's really what it is said it is.
Okay.
So anytime.
Yes. So let's wind up with a question from a guy called Ige Oslo, and he's asking, my engine RON rating is 95. What will happen if I use less RON fuel, e.g. under 90?
As we had said earlier, number one, you will not get the response that is designed for that fuel. Every original equipment manufacturer designs this is the technical specifications for this. By the time that manufacturer says 95, that means I may adjust everything to fit into that compression required for 95 RON. Now, what happens when you put a lower
But
Definitely the power output, knocking, you'll start having issues with the ECUs, you know,
yes,
deposits because of incomplete, combustion, irregular burning. There'll be a lot that will happen. Eventually, you are damaging your vehicle, in summary.
okay.
Yes. So when it's 95, aim higher.
Always aim higher.
Yes.
Okay. Now I can see DOP is giving me 5 minutes, Pale, but we can't go without answering this question. Paul Mwago is asking, is it true that V power degrades and it can become normal fuel if it stays quite a bit?
No, 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 no. It does not. There is nowhere. Okay, when fuel stays for a long time, the biggest thing you are worrying about is evaporation. Because when you keep fuel in a place, somehow a little bit of this and that. Other things, when fuel stays in fuels like diesel, sometimes you may worry about growth of bio something like inaanza kumea things. But now that is a storage that is so long, a long period of time. So to answer him directly, fuel does not degrade. Like now eti leo ni RON 95, by next year because haijatumika imeshuka niyo inatafuta 90. No, it does not happen like that. There is no way. Because as I told you, when you talk about octane rating, we are talking about the hydrocarbon composition of the fuel, which is the chemical structure of sorts of the fuel.
Okay. At least mmesikia, si kama mkate ati kikaa siku tano.
No, it's not.
It's not like that. So, guys, with the 4 minutes remaining, thank you so much for joining us. And I would like to remind you that in case you have any doubts with fuel from any petrol station, kindly take a sample and you can take it to the labs that are available locally. I think we have quite a number, and there's also a guy on X who had listed the labs that you can take the fuel to for testing. You can also take it to KEBS. I believe EPRA also are open to that. So usikue na shaka. Ukidoubt tu mafuta iko poa, peleka ikatestiwe. Try to follow the scientific ways of actually testing fuel to avoid unnecessary panic or even getting the correct results. And even with the guys who are, the performance in Kenya is becoming quite common. Guys
Yeah.
are driving performance cars. There are TTs every now and then. So if you have any doubt and you do not want to mess up your engine, but then pia hizi Subarus with the FA16s, FA20 engines, they're also very sensitive to run. So instead of damaging your engine, tafadhali, kama uko na, what do you call it, shaka, take it for testing.
Even before you go for testing,
Yes.
just buy fuel from Shell. Why am I saying that? Because Shell has put in place robust quality assurance measures between the refinery up to the consumer. And we have subdivided the supply chain into bits, and we do what we call risk-based sampling and testing. What does that mean? When the fuel is getting from the vessel, the ship, into the depot in Mombasa, what are the risks that I anticipate? Inaweza changanyika na maji, inaweza fanya nini? When it gets from now this depot to the station, what may happen on the road? What is this that may go wrong? And then I put in place mitigation measures. When it's in our depots, and I must insist this, there is an investment of quality assurance, heavy. We have laboratories that are ISO 17025 accredited. And this is proof, it's out there. It's a testament to the fact that quality is not a joke when it comes to Shell. There's so much happening, including even the owner of the brand checking quality in the petrol stations. And that is what is happening. And these are facts that are there that can be proven. Like I'm sure some people will have seen that we were able to open up the lab to tell people, see, we have this lab that can do this and that and that and that. So you don't have to doubt. Instead of you saying, let me pick a sample and take it to the laboratory and pay money to be sure, that means that person you are buying fuel from is not giving you the assurance you need. You are not really satisfied.
Okay.
Come to Shell.
So,
It's so true.
as we wind up, the last thing maybe I would ask you, and this
Yes.
is something I've seen on the comments, is EPRA doing enough when it comes to unscrupulous dealers?
When it comes to unscrupulous dealers, I may not be in the right place to speak about whether it's doing enough or not. But what I can say is this, that it is mandated, okay, by, I think, from Ministry of Energy coming down, that it is their role to make sure all the stations are selling fuel that conform to the required specs.
Okay.
It is their mandate. So should there be any place where someone found fuel that is not perfect, then just know somebody is mandated to check
Do
on
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
on your
also,
behalf.
yes. The other thing, and I'll keep on saying this, responsibility. Yeah, they call it in, kuna kitu wanaita kwa Kiswahili.
Jukumu.
Yeah, ni jukumu lako. Ni jukumu lako. Again, collective responsibility. If you know a dealer who is practicing uncouth practices when it comes to fuel, tafadhali report to the relevant regulatory bodies. So I hope this has been an insightful and educative session of Auto Konnekt Live, which we call Konnekt Live. And remember, Konnekt Live comes to you every Wednesday. Now, as we wind up, remember, Grande Motor Imports are offering a warranty on hybrids. And it is something that you cannot get anywhere else. So usiogope kununua hybrid siku hizi. We have a 16-month warranty on any hybrid. So you can reach out to Tom. His number is in the description as well. So talk to him. Hapo na pia unaona Tom anaitwa Grande Motor Imports. Unaweza mpata hapa Trio Complex, 3rd floor, room number 302. Sawa sawa, ukimpata mwambie umetumwa na Eric with a CK, so mambo yako aangalie mzuri. Okay, so we value your feedback. Remember, you can follow us on our social media platforms, Auto Konnekt Kenya, Automotive Excellence on Facebook and Instagram. And also, ukitaka tupige hii story zaidi, remember, you can reach out to me on my socials, Eric Okabi on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X as well. So, with all that information to digest, I would like to wish you guys a good night, and we have 2 fantastic episodes coming your way in the next 2 Sundays. Sijui kama mnaweza handle. Yeah, we are having a very interesting bit that will be coming to you on wacha hii Sunday inakuja hiyo ingine. Tuko na kitu moto sana that we would like also you guys to take a look at it and tell us if you will love it. So there are good things coming your way, as well as pia tutafanya vitu kadhaa za kujaribu ku test a few things here and there. So over and out, and thank you so much for joining us and sharing your feedback.